Okay, I think we're on. I think it's happening.
What's happening, everyone? Daniel here, founder of the DJB Photography School. I'm gonna show you really quickly how I develop an iPhone photograph. So I use an iPhone 6 Plus, and I'm gonna show you how we take this photograph from the phone into Lightroom, do some development work there, and then what I do in Instagram before I post it on Instagram for online use. So I'm gonna show you exactly how I get from here to here with this photograph. It's pretty interesting, so I hope you enjoy. Okay, so welcome to Lightroom. You can see here I've got two images on my screen. The one on the left is the original, straight from my iPhone 6 Plus, I think that's what I'm using. And the one on the right is the developed one. So this is the before and after. I'm gonna show you exactly how I got from left to right, so before and after. So a few things before we start. You need to be able to get the highest quality version of this photograph off your phone to start with before you bring it into Lightroom, okay? Because a lot of the time, if you just like message the photograph to somebody or you like airdrop it if you're using an iPhone, then it sends some kind of compressed JPEG version and it's just a really crap quality one. This one, I actually emailed to myself, and I emailed it using the OSX Mail app because that allows you to choose the quality, and you want to choose actual size, so it's a ginormous JPEG file, and you can, the higher the quality, eventually the higher the quality the export will be when you do it in Lightroom, okay? So make sure that you're working with the highest quality original file possible, and in this case on the iPhone, that's a JPEG file. So first things first, let's open this image up. I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So you go to the develop module in Lightroom. If you've never seen this before, we do have a totally free Lightroom workshop which goes through the basics of Lightroom and how to use it. I'm not going to go into that now, but I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So first thing is that this image is a little bit dark. So let's take the exposure, increase that a little bit, and you'll notice that as I increase the exposure, the noise levels, especially on Rosie's dress, like it's quite a noisy image to start with, and when you increase the exposure, it gets even noisier, okay? So you might have noticed as well that the final product of this image is quite sort of unphotographic looking, and it's more sort of artsy looking. It's almost sort of borderline painting, and I don't mind that in this particular case. I actually quite like it. So what we can do is, to get rid of some of that noise, is scroll down to the detail section and then just increase that noise reduction to about 30, and then also do the color section to about 25, 30 as well. I'll put it up to 30. And you'll notice that this is sort of smoothed over now, okay? So it's getting that sort of softer look. Another thing I noticed straight off the bat here is that I don't like the white balance, a little bit too yellowy. So I'm going to cool this image down, and I'm going to take a little bit of green out of it by increasing the tint a touch as well. I'm going to go down now to effects. I'm going to be using the vignette. I'm not usually a big fan of the vignette, but this one, it actually works really well in this image. So let's decrease the post-crop vignetting, and you'll notice how it just sort of draws your eye into the subject being Rosie. And that's what we want. We want to eliminate distractions, simplify the image, and we want to draw the viewer's eye into the subject as much as possible. So we, as the photographer, as the development person, we want to control what the viewer's eye is focusing on, okay? Next thing I'm going to do is go to the adjustment brush, press K. I've got this little thing called a DJB clarity spot, and you'll see it just starts by increasing the exposure a little bit and increasing the clarity a little bit. And I'm just going to choose, this is choosing a brush size here. I'm just going to sort of paint over Rosie like this, and you can see where I've painted there in the red, and I just want to increase the clarity a little bit so we can sort of make her stick out a little bit more. I'm also going to grab the exposure and just bring that up a little bit. And let's add a little bit of noise reduction onto that same spot. So I just did three things on this one spot. Might actually bring that down a bit. I went a bit too crazy on the old noise reduction there. I'm going to now enhance this little, I like this little light flare that's going on here. So I'm going to create a new clarity spot just on this particular area. See where I've painted in the red. Increase the clarity, increase the brightness, let's enhance that a little bit. And now I'm going to create a new spot. I'm going to sort of just go around here. I'll show you what I'm doing in a second. you can see where I've painted like around here, around the sides, and I actually want to darken these areas. Okay, so it's sort of enhancing that vignette a little bit more. And I think that is just about it. I'm just going to have a quick look at the crop, make sure she's in the center of that image. And all the lines are straight. All the lines are pretty much straight, which is unusual because I normally don't get lines straight out of camera. Something wrong with my brain, and I can never get lines straight. So I think that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much it with this image. I might just add another little clarity spot here, actually. I'm back on the adjustment brush, you can see on the right there. And this one's just sort of on Rosie's face and upper body a little bit. Just going to increase the clarity a bit more and just play with the exposure just a little bit. So I'm being very careful here because there's so much noise in this image. Anytime you increase the exposure, and because we're working with a JPEG file, not a RAW file, that noise is a lot more prevalent. So you've got to be wary that especially when you're increasing exposure and you're playing with shadows, that the noise will be a lot more obvious. So I'm going to go back. I'm actually go back to the white balance. You can see at the top here. I'm just going to cool this image down a little bit more. I sort of like this bluey look that you get when you cool down an image. It really gives it that nice night sort of starry look about it. I like it. Let's just bump up the overall clarity just a little bit and add a bit more contrast. That, I think, is about it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, if you guys are on Instagram, if you're not on Instagram, get on Instagram. It's amazing. It's great for inspiration. And now you can actually do some really cool phone editing. So a touch of sharpening we do in Instagram before we post it on Instagram. So I'm going to show you how we do that right now. Okay, so I've emailed this photograph to myself and I have downloaded it on my phone, and then I'm just in the first stages of the Instagram post. So you can see here, you got 3 little options down the bottom here. I never use filters ever on Instagram, just FYI. I personally never do that. I use these two. The middle one here, it's like this luminance or lux or something. Look what it does when you go sort of left to right here. It makes it really sort of, gives it that faded film look on one side. And when you go the other way, it gives it a really sort of contrasty look. I'm just going to add a little bit of this. So you're probably asking, why am I doing extra editing now in Instagram? And the reason is, good question. I feel like doing these little final stages of edits are sort of optimized edits for mobile use. So obviously Instagram can only be viewed, or is primarily used on mobile. So the reason I do this is because I'm only looking at my mobile screen and I want to make sure that it looks perfect on my mobile screen. So I don't know whether that is 100% justified, but that's why I do it. And I'm not saying this is the only correct way to do things, but this is just what I like to do. So increase that lux by about 15, maybe 18, somewhere around there. And go to the little spanner. And there's pretty much 2 things that I do here. Scroll all the way over to the right, get the sharpening tool, just increase. We want to increase the sharpening a little bit, just around that sort of mark 37. Sharpening it's kind of hard to explain. You need to actually do this yourself and see what it's doing, but it just kind of, believe it or not, makes the image a tiny bit sharper on your mobile screen. I want to go back to the vignette, and I'm actually going to add a bit more of a vignette in here. So similar to what we did on Lightroom, but I'm just enhancing that a little bit more. I just decided right now. So that is pretty much it. That's all I do on Lightroom and Instagram. You can see still this image is quite noisy, especially on Rosie's dress there. It's quite a noisy image, which is, you know, some people, this is the brightness, by the way, I'm just decreasing that a little bit. Some people don't like that. And yes, that, you know, noise is not a great thing, but you're limited with what you can do on an iPhone in a dark bar at 1 a.m. on a Sunday night. So that's it for this edit. Jump onto my Instagram if you want to actually see what this looks like on your mobile device. Daniel Billsborough on Instagram, search for it. And I hope that you have enjoyed this little tutorial. Thanks for watching.